audience for the panel discussion on how blockchain is creating better public services. On behalf of GCPIT, I would like to invite our panelists, Mr. Abdul Fatah Mutaki, Ms. Gillian Godzil, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, Mr. Syed Mushir Ahmed, and Ms. Yale Rosenzweig. And this panel will be led by our moderator, Mr. Srinivas Mahankali. And to give a brief introduction about him, he's the General Manager for Emerging Technologies. And Mr. Srinivas comes with over 10 years of experience as MD, CXO, COE, lead level in IT and emerging technologies, and as a program director for India's first university certified PG program on blockchain with Amity University. Mr. Srinivas works as the lead consultant for blockchain and emerging technologies at the Government of India and NASSCOM promoted company called as the National Institute for Smart Government. He has authored several books on technology like Blockchain, The Untold Story, Blockchain for Non-IT Professionals, Blockchain and Smart Cities. He has also co-authored books for Secure Chains, Cybersecurity and Blockchain, AI, ML, Powered Agents of Automation, Blockchain Consortiums, the Business Model of the Future, and etc. So with that, I offer the floor to you. Over to you, Mr. Srinivas.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mishma. And it's indeed a honor for me to be a part of this eminent panel. And thank you, GCPAD for this opportunity to moderate this session. And it's indeed an important session wherein we'll have some key takeaways from eminent panel members from across the world, and we will, take a look at how blockchain is helping or could help in better governance and governing services. Just to recap a bit, and I would like to take us everybody back to back by 36 years. In 1984 to 87, when Russia and America were trying to end the Cold War, they were, Ronald Reagan and Gorbachev were, engaged in intense discussions. That's when Mr. Ronald Reagan, the president of the US, he learned an important phrase. It's called trust but verify. Trust but verify. It was a very key, phrase which was exchanged between both the leaders for a long time. And when Gorbachev asked Ronald Reagan, "Why are you telling this again and again?" he said, "I like it." And ultimately, finally, that period actually led to the thawing of the tensions between USA and USSR, and finally the end of the Cold War. Today, the same phrase now we are able to visualize in the form of a blockchain that offers trust as a trusted as a third party, the machine acting as a trusted third party, vastly increasing the trust between the transactions between parties engaging across the world. It has been observed and it has been proven again and again that when there is a trust in the system, the cost of doing the business comes down a lot and the profitability could go up substantially. So blockchain has got this paradigm wherein a machine is able to engage a lot of parties on a peer-to-peer basis and enabling them to conduct trusted transactions among themselves. And today we are able to, we are all discussing here to see how the same blockchain paradigm is helping us, to vastly improve the governance of various governments across the world, how it could benefit citizens all over the world, and it will help in increasing the trust of the transactions that we are all undertaking. As we all know, we are faced with fake products and services, or fake certificates, or fake identities across every aspect of whatever we engage in today, right from the when we open our eyes in the morning till we sleep. So all these fake issues are happening because the one is because we are increasingly dealing with more and more people, and we are also increasingly dealing with more and more people digitally. So both these combination of both these things will cause a lot of mistrust to creep in, and which will harm us and our trust and our transactions in many number of ways. That's where blockchain is seen as an godsend paradigm that is able to help us conduct transactions, bring in a lot of trust, wherein we smart contracts based applications are able to facilitate trusted transactions and decreasing the cost. So today I'm fortunate to introduce a very very eminent panel with me. With me, there are leaders and people who are passionate about blockchain, have been evangelizing blockchain, have been teaching about blockchain. You have been practicing blockchain practitioners who bring in lot of experience and expertise, credentials, credibility in this entire sphere to add value to all the people who are participating in this entire program. And I hope we will be able to come out with some meaningful conclusions. I would like to now introduce Ms. Zillian Godsil. She's an award-winning blockchain journalist. She's an author of 10 books, including the upcoming book on blockchain, The Persons of Interest, Timestamped in Blockchain and Cryptocurrency, which talks about famous and inspiring personalities like Andreas Antonopoulos, Tim Draper, John McAfee, and John Newlander, Samson Williams, etc. She's a former European parliamentary candidate, and she has her own radio shows on Irish channels. She's been an advisor to a number of ICOs and has been referred to as Crypto Queen, and she's among the top 50 most influential women in blockchain. Roll call. And I would like to introduce Miss Yael Rosenzweig. She's the founder of Blockchain Israel, Nevela, Call for Coders, and she's chairperson of IEEE Global Artificial Intelligence Systems Wellbeing, a well-being initiative that calls for everyone to dedicate to advancing technology for humanity. She has been working with executive teams to deploy tech-based solutions for sustainability and purpose-driven ecosystems for larger organizations. She is a supporter of open source projects and developer communities. And we have with us Syed Mushir Ahmad from Hong Kong. He is the founder of FinStep Asia, Virtual FinTech Fair, FinTech Association of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong, FinTech Association of Hong Kong. FinStep focuses on bridging the largest Asian financial ecosystems like China, Singapore, Hong Kong, and India. It aims to provide opportunity for Indian financial professionals to be a part of the larger financial ecosystem. He has keen interest in technologies like blockchain, AI, and digital banking, and their role in disrupting financial system. He is a member of UN Sustainable Business Network, ESBN, and YAT Force Youth and Women Entrepreneur Task Force. He is rated as Hong Kong's two top Instagrammers for street photography. So very interesting angle to his personality. We have Mr. Abdel Fattah from Morocco and from Africa, and he's the author of Blockchain Islam. He's the founder of Emerge Blockchain, a South African company focusing on enabling organizations to leverage the power of blockchain infrastructure in a collaborative manner. We have with us Prasanna Lohar. I think he is everybody in India knows him very well, and he is a very very active participant in the entire innovation and emerging technology ecosystem. He is from the development. He heads innovation and digital technologies and emerging in the development credit bank. He chairs coaches committees on blockchain, AML, big data, and analytics at FICCI and IAMI. So the focus of this panel is to prioritize the use cases for maximum impact for citizens and call for a global cooperation and cross-border. So I would like to now invite Mr. Abdel Fattah to say a few words about himself and the areas he's focusing on. Mr. Abdel Fattah, all yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, to the organizers in inviting me to this amazing Global Technology Summit. So honored to be speaking on behalf of Africa in terms of blockchain. And looking at the Emerge blockchain as a company, as a non-profitable organization working with individual government officials, especially in education side of blockchain, where we see that education is everything, has been mentioned in the first session with Kusum. And that's the approach that we're taking at a higher level, where we speaking to regulators, we speaking to stakeholders in different countries, especially in Africa and Middle East, in exchange of collaboration. Talking about Africa in general and how we're leveraging the blockchain, we look at, there is a private sector domination where the government itself don't even want to approach the subject of blockchain unless there's clarity from the private sector. Therefore, we see some progress in some of the project that the government is looking at implementing in Africa. and those are also in progress with their education and so on. Therefore, the key element here is that there are champions in Africa, and mentioning the Mauritius approach, where the government created a sandbox for regulatory, and that's a big step. Where that was the first step being taken from an African country to regulate blockchain and look into expanding that technology within the public sector. And looking at different application that's right now thriving in Africa, there are a few. One is in the diamond sector by the beer company, who everybody knows about, where they're tracking the diamonds for to create that authenticity of the diamond, and avoid any blood diamonds in the industry. And also we're talking about the Interpol and the voyage pay. And those are this is a use case that's been implemented in Nigeria for crime prevention. Looking at Interpol chasing all those activities within that application. In DRC, we see a good use case being used for monitoring the colabat industry, and it is very known to be an industry that abuses child labor, and they're making sure that there is only a certified and verified companies that does not abuse child, that can benefit from that industry, and it is a free ride kind of an abuse use case. In Rwanda, there is a joint venture between the government and the WiseKey and Microsoft to put Rwanda into a blockchain protocol, and then that's also gave them the creation of the IoT Excellence Center, who's going to be in conjunction, with the protocol that they are utilizing to monitor activities, and especially starting in digitalizing the land right registry to manage that side of the administration. Now, looking.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? We can come back later.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I think you really, pointed out some very, very interesting key use cases of government, of blockchain. Now I would like to go to Ms. Gillian Gotzel to talk about, what she's been saying across the world, in the implementation of blockchain and in different countries, and also how the role of women. She can talk about it. She has been championing the cause of women across the world and their participation in the high tech ecosystem. If you can speak and throw a little bit of light on that, would be great. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be here, very honoured along with our other guests. It's lovely to travel from my sitting room here in rural Ireland, so thank you. As a journalist, I want to start off and use stats, just a few stats to throw out. Deloitte and PwC produced some stats recently where they said 50% of global organizations see blockchain as a strategic technology going forward. Global spending in blockchain is estimated to reach $11.7 billion in 2022. And while the US accounts for 56% of all blockchain investment, 30% of executives see China becoming the blockchain leader in 2023. Now, I think it's interesting. Somebody said earlier that I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman, you said earlier that trust is the important part of this technology. Blockchain's immutable and it's transparent. And that is huge. You can either call it the trustless machine or the trusted machine. And either works because it is a technology that is trusted. But what's really important to note, and this goes across the world, trust is only technology is only as good as the trust that is put into it. And if you look across the pond in the US, which is traditionally the leader of the free world, where elections are being challenged with little or no, and I emphasize no evidence so far. So even if we have a technology that is trusted, if the government and the environments around it do not trust it, they can be undermined. And it's quite frightening, I think you'll agree, to see what's happening in America at the moment, where we have the outgoing president refusing to acknowledge defeat, and all these frivolous law cases coming forward with no evidence. They show no evidence in court and all being thrown out. So while I'm a huge advocate of blockchain and I love it, and I think it has so much power to change the world, we as advocates of this technology have to really, really push it forward, because dark forces can undermine truth, which is quite frightening. Just a couple of things I want to say, and I know there's more conversations. Key areas and public areas. We know in government, I just mentioned that, to be transparent and accountable, but we need the trust again behind it. Supply chain is so important. Land registration. We know that if it's on the blockchain, the chances of you hanging on to your land, especially in a developing country, is better. UBI, a universal basic income, it's a public ledger. So if you want to put everything on the level, this is a way of using blockchain to introduce some really powerful changes in our society. Banking, we all know about, micropayments, identity. And what I love about it is that blockchain offers us the opportunity to disrupt things. Now, people might say the system is broken. Others might say the system was built that way. And we're under obligation, if we believe in blockchain and we want better equality in this world, is to fight for it. And just to touch on, and I'll come back to this again later on in the panel, women, diversity. I love blockchain because it offers disruption. It offers democratization of access for all, not just women, for all, in areas of education, finance, information. And then just leave a little joke about why I think it's so important that women and diversity by extension should be included. There's the old joke that if the Lehman Brothers had been the Lehman sisters, we might not have had the financial crash of 2008.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, yeah, it's true. A lot of crises could have been averted if blockchain had been around for a longer time. Of course, blockchain, people say, is an product of all this frustration that was building up in the centralized institutions and organizations that have failed the trust all of us have reposed. And it is true that the democratic nature of blockchain will allow for greater equality and diversity. Thank you for rightly pointing it out. And I would like to now invite Mr. Prasanna Lohar, who has been one of the biggest advocates and evangelists of blockchain in India, and he's very highly looked up and sort of the speaker as well. We'd like to know his views as to how blockchain is being looked at in India from for implementation in financial systems and other ways. Thank you, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, all yours.
Thank you so much, Srinivas sir, and thank you organizers for inviting me here for this great session. And good to see Mushir again and again. I think we are meeting every week. And thank you, co-panelists. I heard two co-panelists. Really great to see how blockchain is really moving around the world. So I think the journey my journey in India started way back in 2015 end, when I started writing a blog on Bitcoin. So, and while I started writing my blog on Bitcoin, and by the time I finished writing the blog of Bitcoin, it was the rate has increased at least multiple folds. That was one of the attraction to look at this technology, blockchain per se. And since then, I think it was never seeing back why blockchain is really not important. So I think since we have seen open internet coming to our life since 1995, and so far now, I think we can't imagine our life without internet or various apps. Say, example, in India, we have Flipkarts or Paytms or PhonePe, or globally Uber, or many more apps are there. We can't imagine our life without these internet use cases. I think in 2030 we'll not talk about blockchain. What we'll talk about ledger technology and the use cases on top of that. And we'll say, yeah, blockchain was a story way back in 2015-16. We've been part of that journey. So that is what I see in India. Adoption is huge. At the way it took around 20-25 years for adopting or bringing some good apps on mobile or internet. I think blockchain pace is really huge. The pace in academia to learn blockchain or to practice blockchain among researchers and startups, or at a state government to adopt a blockchain, the way the journey I have seen in last 3 years, some of the local governments like Maharashtra government or Telangana government or Kerala or Andhra government, I think almost 10 plus state governments have there some kind of a journey. I think Telangana is much more ahead considering last 2 years journey in India. Uttar Pradesh government, I have seen one of the use case wherein they were talking about solar coins, or in Assam like area, like police department was utilizing for identity, or in Telangana state is announcing blockchain district, right? So just like what we have seen in Estonia and some of the small countries, wherein a blockchain is a backbone for 290 plus use case example.
You lost it. Oh, I lost the connection. No, it is there. He lost his connection.
So, Mr. Srinivas, you can go ahead. I think he's lost.
It's like we have lost the connection of Mr. Prasanna. Okay, I would like to now invite Ms. Yael Rosenberg, and she's very much, celebrated personality from Israel. All of us know Israel is one on the forefront of all emerging and advanced technologies, and they have done a lot of work in blockchain
Corporates
and
are
AI and
embarking
ML
a
and
lot of
CV.
things in
Yeah, I think Prasanna
and
is
if you
back.
look at,
We will hear him out. Mr. Prasanna, we
am
lost you
I
for a short while.
audible?
Yeah, yeah. Now you are audible. We lost you for a short while. Yeah, you're able to hear us.
So I
Yeah,
think
can
I am able
you?
to see you. Yeah.
Yeah,
The first
you're
pillar
able
is
to hear.
around the corporates and startups practicing around the blockchain. Look at academia, right? So every I think almost. So I
Please
think
go ahead. We are able to hear
if
you.
you look at the academia, I think some of the colleges and some of the institutes have adopted blockchain as a journey. So recently, I'm being nurturing some of the MBA colleges, Narsi Munji, for a blockchain. So look at these colleges are now looking at blockchain as one of the subject, right? So academia, corporates, and the state governments, even central government has a unit like Niti Aayog or MITI. Now they have also put up their some of the strategy papers. That is how we can see that India is looking at a blockchain and a front runner, right? As one of the technology apart from AI or any other technology like 5G. So government of India, say recently, Pradhan of India, Narendra Modi announced Atmanirbhar, like do it yourself kind of a campaign, wherein he has emphasized on how do we make or create intelligent supply chain, or how do we have a robust digital identity. So I think when you talk about the aspiration of a country to really meet those good efficiency across for citizens, so I think technology plays major role, and at the same time government is aware, apart from 5G, AI or IoT, blockchain is going to play major role in that way. 4 years before, how many consortiums were available? I think hardly. But today, I am part of a bank chain or a IDRBT or a NPCI, where I think these corporates are practicing a global, I think, practical use cases on a blockchain, primarily in banking and many other use cases. So I think, Srinivas sir, I think we'll keep on discussing things. But at this moment, what is that we are looking at individually as an organization? How can I embark my energy? How can we be part of those consortium?
Yes.
So right, so I think that journey is very important for every organization. So maybe in the next round, I'll talk about how a single organization can take up that journey and be part of this blockchain ecosystem sooner. Because if we make it late, I think the progress, being in the journey of any of those business model, when you see your current client server business models eventually go on a sharing economy or a marketplace model, and you have to be there. If you have to be there, you have to have your bank's node on that particular use case could be an insurance chain or a digital identity in India on Aadhaar, or could be any other supply chain or invoice discounting, or say a centralized KYC among multiple banks. So I think we'll discuss that, Srinivas sir, how organization can really adapt. But I think in a nutshell, I think I must say that India is really progressing a lot on a technology like blockchain. What is that needed more, apart from doing POCs and pilots? Let's fast track on actual right production use cases. This is what we need to see in India at this moment. Yeah, that is in a nutshell from my side.
Mr. Srinivas?
Thank you, Mr. Prasanna. You have really highlighted a number of facets of blockchain, implementation and education, and adaptation that's going on in India, and a lot of activities going on as whatever what you have observed. Of course, but a lot more needs to be done. We hope this panel also will throw up some light, for the way ahead for us. We would like to, all of us are eagerly waiting to hear out Ms. Yael Rosenberg from Israel. And, Israel is one of the most technologically advanced countries, and they can show us a lot of new things that are happening in this space, and as also, show us what can be done in the future. All over to you, Ms. Yael.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me today and amongst all the great panel. I cannot but emphasize what have been said until now regarding the technology and the need for use cases. Just in a few words, I've been in the blockchain industry for the past 7 years, and I had, the great chance to see the different phases. We spoke about Bitcoin and we spoke about the blockchain technology in terms of development. And today, so far, we are at the very, really beginning stages of the development, and we need more technologies. Here in Israel, especially because we're a small country, so we need to push out, many boundaries, especially because of the configuration of the Middle East, but also because we're used to innovate at a small scale at the very beginning. So it means that when you look at whatever happened in terms of technology, in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of artificial intelligence, machine learning, here the need is to try to collaborate as much as possible, and to see and to find out how we can make the technology more efficient towards human use. So it means that when you create whatever platform it is, whatever configuration, we see that on a very, very small scale, how we can figure out, the reduced cost to set up, the most out of every development. Another point worth to mention is that when we created the Blockchain Academy here with Microsoft at the beginning, and also with the collaboration of IBM, we understood from the CDOs and the senior developers how they can use the technology and make the good use towards the case studies, which means that Gillian mentioned the need for supply chain and to fix, the transaction points. And we see that in terms of statistics today, in terms of numbers, that we need more transparency, more trust in between the producer up to the consumer. So today we're going there. It could sound, that it's slow going, but it's not, because we're stepping up really fast forward. We see a lot of cooperation making a lot of efforts despite COVID and despite, all the challenges that we had to face this year. We see tremendous efforts toward trust and to take care of the customers and to take care of the final consumers. Another point that worth to mention, and Abdel Fattah mentioned that, is about education. And I think that today governments have the mission and the ultimate role and responsibility to invest more in education. It has to be from the very early years at school to use technology on the practical side. And that's the mission of the institutions. Today, we don't have enough schools. I'm going back to the diversity, and I'm going back to the inclusion. Everybody today can access technology. We all have, iPhones. We all have plenty of use of technology, and we have the ultimate access to the internet, which is something that we never had, before 25 years ago. And today, thanks to the internet, we can collaborate, we can access to whatever we want, we can buy, we can sell. We have plenty of possibilities. And today, as we're developing blockchain, that's the next level of accessibility and, to break down the boundaries that we have. So it's not only a buzzword. It gives you the ultimate possibility to access everywhere, to collaborate from every point of the world. And when I talk about that, I speak that we developed many case studies, whether it was with China, Russia, India, also UK, everywhere. Another point is about the trust point today, and we saw that through the election in the US, but also, all over Europe. We need more trust, and trust is built from the human side. Technology won't solve the trust problem that we have. We're mostly using telecommunication to speak and to better explain what we need. Today, we can translate everything into technology, and that's our role, to put out everything in line with what we believe as data. Today, data has to be transparent, has to be clear. We need more categories. We need more open source development, and that's what we've done, for the past 2 years. So that's critical to bring up, agility and resilience, because we have to build, the next step forward, as we're going to have, more challenges to face. Today, the pandemic is not the only challenge that we have. We have many, many crises: healthcare crisis, financial crisis, economic crisis, employment crisis. And we have today the responsibility to use technology, because technology will allow us to create more employment, not the contrary. Innovation today all over the world is not enough. We have to push out the boundaries again and to create more innovations. We need
Thank
more
you so much.
innovation
Thank you so much.
and more
Thank you so
innovation.
much, Michael. It was amazing listening to you, and we would like to continue interactions in the future as well, to get the guidance, about how we can take it forward. And I would like to now request Syed Mushir Ahmad. He is from FinStep. He's the founder of FinStep Hong Kong. He is, representing one of the most dynamic blockchain areas in the world. That is the Asia, where China, Singapore, Thailand, India, a number of countries are doing a lot of experimentations, and a lot of collaboration, cooperation is possible. I'd like to Mr. Mishur to throw some light on this. Thank you, Mr. Mishur. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas, and thank you to the team at GTBIC for having us. It's an honor to join you all. And yes, Prasanna, we've been doing a few calls together and learning a lot from you and other panelists. I won't speak so much about what is required for things to be done, because I think the esteemed panelists have already touched upon it. What I will look to give you as in insights is on the actual use cases that are taking place in three markets, as it were. One would be on mainland China, second is in Hong Kong, and thirdly in Singapore. A very quick background about me: I'm originally from Bangalore. I'm a Bangalore Hurga. I've been in Hong Kong for the last 6.5 years. I'm one of the co-founders of FinTech Association of Hong Kong, and I run my own advisory firm, which is FinStep Asia. I also run an initiative known as India Tech Hong Kong to bridge startup ecosystem between India and Hong Kong, working with the Consul General of India here. Now, when we look at blockchain, right, I think one of the key things I always want to mention and people need to differentiate, and it's happening now, is to ensure that you have a clarity on blockchain, the technology versus the applications, right? Quite a few times people use cryptocurrencies and blockchain interchangeably, and that was a big problem last few years. That's why not many people were touching blockchain, but now all that has changed. Blockchain is a technology. It's underpinning a lot of services, and even in countries where cryptocurrency and other things are banned, blockchain is highly encouraged, such as in India as well as in mainland China. Now, in mainland Hong Kong and Singapore, some of the things that blockchain is being used for, just to mention, main places would be like utility payments, to validate originality of products and food. That's very important. E-renminbi, which is, sorry about that. My laptop slipped from the books. E-renminbi, which is the digital currency, and then looking at health passes and ensuring that the public data is concurrent, like in the cases of COVID, to track any cases and infections, right? So here's some examples. Mainland China has brought in blockchain as part of its core technologies for its policy frameworks going forward. President Xi himself has mentioned about how blockchain can be used for various applications. There are over 140 government services using some type of government blockchain technology, including for data sharing, exchange services, special programs for business collaboration, business processing, and tools for managing digital certificates. Another major space they're using it for is real estate registration. We've seen that happen in Andhra Pradesh as well, and this is happening quite actively in China across housing projects, municipal commissions, etc. You then also have the government of Beijing releasing a blueprint to make it the blockchain hub of the world by 2022, and they have a huge amount of use cases, including in logistics for cross-border trade, data sharing between merchants, logistics operators, custom authorities, regulators, etc., to facilitate customs in cross-border air cargo trade. Now, China has also set up what's called the BSN. It's a network to support the fragmented market. It's a cloud, cross portal, and cross framework public network that enables developers to easily and affordably develop permissioned and permissionless blockchain. It's being internally tested and can connect to international as well. From Hong Kong, the HKMA, which is the central bank, has been very active. They have instituted trade finance on the blockchain and collaborated with Singapore and Thailand and few other countries in the region. They've also developed what's called a project Inathon Lion Rock, which is for wholesale digital currency between the two countries, and that can be expanded to other countries. Lastly, when it comes to the Hong Kong government, they're looking at smart government, so transfer of trade ownership and IP and traceability of pharmaceutical products. Now, Singapore, similar things that they're doing. They recently launched a blockchain initiative, $12 million for education, and they're also looking at commercial blockchain research. Couple of government initiatives that are being run there is one is OpenCerts, a blockchain-based platform to validate and verify educational credentials. So when you pass from a university, your degree is on OpenCerts, and any job employer or anybody else who needs to validate can check your identification. And finally is the project Ubin, which is similar to what HKM is doing, which is a prototype for settling payments in different currencies for an international network, right? So you can see that it's a lot happening here. It's moved from being these POCs to actual implementation. And it's not just the governments. You're seeing a lot of work being done by the major giants, including Alibaba, WeChat, Huawei, and the rest, who have been deploying blockchain for a variety of use cases for their businesses. And that's being done at a massive scale that goes into hundreds of millions of users in some cases. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mushir. That was really enlightening, information about what all is happening in the Asian continents. And all of us know that Estonia and Dubai and several European countries, they were also, have been implementing blockchain in full hog, in a number of areas. And they are setting up despite being small countries with small population, they are setting up fantastic examples and becoming models for implementing digital transformation and implementing blockchain to all of us across the world. I request Mr. Prasanna Lohar to just to talk about what are the lessons that are there in India for us and how government can push forward this adoption of blockchain. Prasanna Lohar, can you just talk for a little bit?
Yeah. So once again, I think great question, Srinivas. I think what we had seen, say example, in India, I had started along with the State Bank of India, which is one of the biggest bank in India. The bank chain, the forum where we had around more than 20 banks together, service providers like IBM, Microsoft, Intel, and Infosys were part of this forum. So I think moment was so great, right, way back in 2017. And if I look at that journey in 2020, there are hardly anything happening in that forum, right? So what could be the issue, right? So those are learnings. So those are learnings. On top of that learning, we started another forum which has a right governance and right incentivization, right, and a right use case. Say in a bank chain, we thought of implementing 21 plus use cases for banks in India. Say starting from KYC or loan syndication or any of this cross-border payment, trade finance. We were going on and on, doing a lot of POCs and pilots in the first year. But what we had seen, banks are very interested to do POCs and pilots together. But when it comes to commercialization, they need to see what is that incentivization for that bank. How is the support from policy and the regulator out there from, say, example, bank, how the regulator in RBI is going to share the support to the banks. So I think for government perspective, what they really need to look at, they need to look at how to have a right forum or a governance for blockchain with the right set of policies and the aspiration to complete it 6 months or 1 year, that kind of a timeline, rather than just create some strategy. So what we had done, I think in 2017 mid, we had launched blockchain strategy paper. So I think what we had seen, the content in strategy paper and the aspiration to execute, that was lacking. The country like India, which is sitting in so many research and so many experts, I think what is needed, a governance structure at a central level. Say example, we have a cyber security forum, right? Our cyber security is an agenda for a country. Similarly, blockchain could be an agenda just the way it is an agenda for China, or I think Mushri spoke about Singapore, or we have some lot of examples like Malta, Estonia, right? These countries are giving a guidance to the country like India, like how governance use cases can come onto blockchain. Say example, loan, for example, land registration, right? Or giving some subsidies, or having the payment system on blockchain, or having some today recently Aadhaar, right? Aadhaar, we face a lot of challenges in Aadhaar. The data is being utilized. How can we really improvise? So I think at a central level, this forum should talk about which are the prime use cases for India. So what we need from a government level, at a central level, what are the top use cases for India, and we should have that use case repository with what is that problem statement and why this use case is really important for India, and how India will come out of some better governance and a better life for the citizens. Say example, we have a lot of operations in Punjab, so wherein money handling while purchasing those wheat, or in Kerala purchasing those sugar canes, or if we talk about Maharashtra wheat, or I think there is a lot of money handling, and what we require out there is that how do we improvise complete operations. Man in middle is there, a lot of corruption happens, right? Can I not create a digital currency just like in Gujarat, where a lot of milk is produced? Can I not create Amul coin or a milk coin? Or in Rajasthan, where we are sitting on so much of solar energy, can I not create solar kind and replicate that model everywhere? So I think India should look at the use case repository, followed by expert governance who will really look at how the policies to be drafted for India. And the third thing, like organizations like Tech Mahindra or Infosys or IBMs, they should really compete. Fine, but at this moment when the technology is nurturing, or there are use case need is there for, I think they should collaborate each other, at least at a research level. Well, blockchain is in mid of lot of challenges on security, or improvising the speed at times. We may say that its speed is not great, but generically we can create our own fabric. Why we always talk about Hyperledger or Ethereums? Can we not really, at this journey, at least we should talk about some high throughput ledger technology, right? Say example, at IDRBT, we were discussing about creating our own blueprint of a blockchain, just like riding on a blockchain network, where banking happen on this network, where less man in between, less of operations, and we should have our own thing. So I think first part which I was talking about, right governance at central level, followed by the use case repository, right policies where we can nurture, and these startups or these tech companies to collaborate with each other with an agenda. So we are doing
Excellent.
that. Srinivas sir, at IMEI, we have a forum of at least 40 plus companies where keep on meeting on regular basis, and we are talking about some of the agendas in different subcommittees like education or research work. I think that journey is really started, but that push has to come from top, from a central government. So I co-chair a committee at the FICCI also. So I think scenario is everywhere is same. So more collaboration is needed in this area. And I think last piece, when I have a use case, say at the DCB Bank, I'm practicing at least 45 use case and looking at those use case will go live. And when I look at those talent in the market, right? So the way I get Java or Oracle DBS, it takes some time to create or get a blockchain experts. And the agility is so high, these blockchain experts feel that I am so great, and within a few months he will vanish or go to some other company, and we pay a lot high rates to these blockchain developers. Now look at what is their blockchain, right? It's another technology, it's like a web technology with high end security, and it has its own gamatic to really govern the
Excellent.
network. And
Can I just interject here, Mr. Knight? It was well taken. I think it was
yeah,
well summarized. Actually, thank you so much. It really throws a lot of light for us to see, to think about how we should go forward. How government should intervene. As you rightly said, there is a lot of support that is required from government. And recently, all of us must have heard Mr. Amitabh Kant talking about India is too democratic. wherever you found there is a too much of democracy, you find this sort of changes taking lot of time to go on, and we are sure one day we will slowly and surely get there. But till that time, we should be able to survive, to emerge stronger. And it's becoming difficult and difficult, as you rightly observed. But we are sure government is trying to evolve some sort of a policy and a strategy and everything. They are taking their own time. Yeah, if you want to make a point, you can make a point.
Yeah, one point I think Srinivas, I'm being following with you since last few years, and the way your journey is really helped to the whole ecosystem. I think
Thank you.
mentors like you coming together can really make that happen. That is one of the thought I just wanted to say you. So
Yes.
on that, I really appreciate the work you have done at various forums and at your company, and we look at you as one of those mentors who knows technology as well as how to educate the technology through your books. I read those books. So once again, I appreciate, and I think
Thank you so much.
mentors coming together, that will really be
Yes.
one of those radical change agent for India. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we have seen today, fantastic use cases in production from Africa, from Asia, from Ireland, and from Israel. And we also seen that in India, a lot of states have been experimenting with blockchain. We have seen states experiment with land records in supply chain, and even government of India is trying to implement blockchain for a food supply chain to help MSMEs to market their products by offering them the ability to show provenance of their premium products, as well as also evaluating how to reach the vaccines in a foolproof manner, so that authentic vaccines without any fakes reach very fast to the ultimate consumers, while you are able to also judge the transportation conditions about whether the temperature is maintained correctly or not.
Yeah.
We have seen these sort of supply chain use cases already, and India, as you rightly said, we have to take stock of all these various successful use cases, and we have to set up a national steering committee and take it forward. In India, a lot of fantastic organizations as you are there, as you rightly observed, whether it is Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, these all have come out with fantastic platform, TCS, etc. They have come out with fantastic platforms. Very vibrant startup ecosystem is there. Number of startups who are doing extremely well, and all of them, unfortunately, currently are working with foreign customers or other countries. But in India, they are still trying to struggle to get their use cases going. But in the blockchain, as we have seen, is an inter-enterprise platform that calls for a lot of collaboration, wherein it is very easy if you are doing something within your own organization or within your four walls. But as you start expanding your circle and network, as you have more and more parties coming in, to be a part of this entire blockchain ecosystem and a network, that is when you will have actually benefit. But that is the most difficult to arrive at, to have an entire network which is governed properly, and wherein all these different and the network and different ends are able to interoperate among themselves, at the same time integrate with the legacy systems. There are a lot of challenges to be overcome, and I think WEF, World Economic Forum, has come out with a phenomenal report in just December 2020, which talks about addressing the governance gap and how legacy applications can integrate with the blockchain ecosystems, and all blockchain ecosystems can interoperate with each other. I think that will be a good guide for all of us to see how evolve with the entire rest of the world, and go forward and implementing and taking advantage of this blockchain applications for the public good. Thank you very much. We had a short time, but I think we covered a lot of ground, and definitely we should continue this discussion forward. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Mishma. Thank you,
Thank you.
Prasanna, and everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
We'll
you,
pick up again.
Thank you,
Mushir. Thank
everybody.
you,
Bye.
Jillian,
So,
Yel, and
Thank you so
Shimi.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, on behalf of GCPIT, I take this opportunity again to thank our panelists, Mr. Abdul Fatah Muthaki, Ms. Gillian Gotzel, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, Mr. Syed Mushir, and Ms. Yael Rosenzweig, and of course, our moderator, Mr. Srinivas, for moderating this session. And my sincere apologies to Mr. Abdul Fattah and Ms. Yael for we had to stop you in between because of the limited time. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm going to recommend that we have the session again for 2 hours or more so that we can cover more ground. So thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Yeah,
everyone.
Thanks,
also
Anand.
thanks, Mr.
Yeah.
Santosh, for inviting all
Thank
of
you.
us to this panel. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. So, dear audience, please stay with us. We're going to come back after a short break, and we have another power-packed panel discussion on fintech ecosystem in 2020 and the predicted trends for 2021. So, please stay tuned. We'll come back in a minute. Yeah.